Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry that I'm late. I thought the stream was at 4:30, and I didn't start it until now. So that's my apologies. I was actually napping, and I went and ate a pizza Lunchable. Oh man, I was gonna add another slide. I like. I'm looking at my presentation, and I'm missing something. One second. So, how is everyone doing today? Everyone good? I hope. Thank you. Yes, this is my Edie Sedgwick look. My little thing's falling off though. She was an icon from the 60s. So I did my makeup and got fake eyelashes on. These are earrings done called the Factory Girl collection from Steve Sasko. He does replicas. I think he might have done them. I'm not sure, but no, he done the earrings, but I think he might have done them to the movie, maybe not. Maybe I'm just fantasizing about that. Yeah, so this was not easy to do. I am good though. Yeah, if anybody didn't know, I lost my job yesterday, but I picked up my stuff from work today, and yeah, it went well. He said there's no bad blood. They're giving me 2 weeks severance pay, and that they're gonna make sure that I get my unemployment, so that's good. So Brainy, not Brainy, yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm just like looking at the chat. So I'm gonna get my unemployment, but I want to work because I like working because I don't really trust a state that can barely, update a phone system to keep up with applicants to give me my check on time. So I mean, he was really nice, and I really think they were honestly just going other directions. Like I made him cry a little bit, and I cried. So yeah. Oh my god, I don't have any stream notes. I was like, I got a half hour. I'm gonna get all my stuff together. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I have a new stream set up. So it's not as good as it should be. Okay. So hopefully I'm like reading out the chat. I don't get in trouble for using this. I might won't, but if there's any music, I might have to pause it a little bit. So this is like we're gonna watch the first 3 minutes of this. There's a lot of video clips, there's a lot of pictures. So Edie Sedgwick, if anybody knows who she is, put a one in the chat. What about now? Who knows who she is? Put a one in the chat if you know who she is. Yeah. I really hope I don't give any information wrong. If I do, it's because I'm a super fan. Okay. So Edie Sedgwick was basically America's Twiggy for all of you in the UK. She was born in April 20th. I think it was in 1948. Maybe not. Maybe not that year, but April 20th, a day before my birthday, April 21st. Not Andy Warhol's girlfriend, but they had a type of relationship that was kind of like a love relationship, but it was not sexual or intimate. It was kind of more of like a friendship beyond friendships, like somebody that you would ride and die for, I would say. But not apparently, but Andy Warhol towards the end ended up not being friends with Edie. And you'll kind of see that relationship. Well, I'll kind of go further into that. Yeah, she was Edie Sedgwick was Andy Warhol's muse. The factory was somewhere where all of these people from different lifestyles, usually ones from unconventional backgrounds, whose my little thing fell over. I'm going to take it off. From unconventional backgrounds who lived like very unconventional lifestyles at that time would go and find a family. There would be people continuously going in and out. Unfortunately, it was a lot of people that did drugs. Andy Warhol himself didn't do any drugs. He actually had a sign up that said there's no drug use allowed in the factory. But he really found a home in all those people because Andy Warhol, whose real name was Andy Warhola, he had a skin disease where he was very pale, he was very quiet. And through his artwork is where he really spoke his true personality. And even though he wasn't very outspoken in his words, he showed that through his art and he showed that through the people that he hung out with. So Edie Sedgwick, I think he kind of saw that vibrant light in her, yet that quiet, naive, kind of vulnerability to her. And that's what kind of drew him to her. And plus she was really beautiful. So we're going to watch a little bit of this. Let me know how the sound is. We're just going to watch the first 3 minutes. Hold on. It's going to have clips from the actual movie, but it's just going to explain better than I could about who Edie is before we talk about her. One second. Yeah, sorry about the echo. I had I was redoing the room and I didn't know if you guys could hear my stream because of the microphone or because of the echo before. So, my mistake. So, yeah, Edie Sedgwick, these are pictures that I found of Edie in her youth. She was born in April 20th, 1943. She was the seventh of 8 children. Um, she was born into an extremely wealthy family. Her family came from very rich old money. There was railroad tycoons. One of her great great grandfathers was the signer of the Declaration of Independence. Um, Oil money. I think one of them even invented the elevator. So she came from really, really old money. And her family wanted to have that rich, wholesome socialite image, which is what we see here when we're looking here. That's the photo shoot that her brother was talking about. So they looked like the picture perfect family, but they really weren't. There was 8 brothers and sisters. Edie was the seventh of 8. All of the children, like when this movie was made in the early 2000s, that's when this interview was taken of her oldest brother. All the siblings were dead except for him. 2 of them committed suicide. Edie overdosed. I think 1 or 2 of them died in a car accident. Really tragic. So this family was like not as picture perfect as it appeared. And she went through horrible physical and emotional abuse at the hands of her father. Her father had a lot of mental health issues as well. He was advised not to have children, but he went ahead of anyways. And her mother just kind of let it happen, but it was a different time then, not acceptable, but it was a different time then. So it's not like people were jumping to stop these kind of situations. You didn't want to damage your patina. You didn't want to damage the image. So let's see. I have so many pictures. This girl's so beautiful. I have so many pictures. And I picked this girl not just because her life was horrendous in the beginning and she did something that had such a big impact. Like, I named my daughter after her. Like, she is like my inspiration just because even though we might not have gone through some of the same things, our personalities, I feel like, are soulmates in a way. I feel so connected to her. So they grew up in a ranch in California that was very isolated. The family kept themselves on the ranch. The children were not allowed to talk or do many activities outside of the house. Even at school, they were just advised to come home. So they really isolated the children to this little world where all these expectations were so high and you were supposed to be like the cream of the crop kind of people. So this is pictures of Edie when she was 13. She started developing an eating disorder. Like her brother said, she was frequently institutionalized. She walked in on one of the sexual escapades that her father was having an affair with this woman. And she said she saw something. They institutionalized her, gave her tranquilizers. There was some interviews and some friends from the factory that said Edie spoke of abuse sexually from her father. Her first kiss was from her father. And she was also plagued with various mental disorders that were obviously passed down from genetic. What exactly those were, I'm not positive, but she was in and out of, like, I think Silver Hill was the name of one of the mental institutions that she was put in. So it's just sad to see that instead of like stopping home abuse and stopping the problem, or like even getting her help for these issues she's getting, they're basically just getting her help and getting her tranquilized just to get her out of the house. Like, it's not for the real issues. So it was really sad to me. I'm going to look at the chat real quick. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. And they did that for all the children. One of the brothers ended up coming out as gay when he was younger and ended up killing himself because his father was extremely against it. So it was very sad. In 1963, she moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts to study sculpture and art, which her father was actually an artist in sculpture. He did sculptures as well. She hung out with the rich kids at Harvard, Cambridge, all the Ivy elite schools. When she was there, two of her older brothers died within 18 months of each other. This picture here is with one of these, I think one of the boys that she dated in college. But she really got out of the house and she was very artistic. She liked to draw like pictures of nature, animals, and she was really just excited to get out of the house and finally explore who she was and get out of like the reins of like that family and her father. So you can see she looks very different than what we'll see before, but she's kind of like a chameleon of like her surroundings. So you can see that her image is kind of subdued here. She's kind of like the all-American girl. But when she starts hanging out with people in the factory, that's where her image kind of explodes into that Twiggy replica. Yeah, I have a few books on them. I'll go get them in a minute. So this is Edie Sedgwick when she was on her 21st birthday. And this is her doing a sculpture at Cambridge. This is some of her drawings. This is one that I found that was for sale. And this is pictures of her when she was going to Cambridge. So she was really taken aback by Jackson Pollock, by Andy Warhol's art, all of these artists that are doing these new and exciting things that are very against the norm. She was driven to that because that's the kind of personality she was. She was explosive. She wanted to let out. So she decided to go to New York because that's where all the art was happening. So that's when she eventually went to the factory. And you can see when she went to New York, she ended up getting dragged into the factory. She met some people. She ended up going there and meet Andy Warhol. And she was really taken aback about how free and liberating the atmosphere, how much everybody cared for each other in the family. And you could see that her image drastically changed. And I don't think she actually dyed her hair. I think it was from the interviews that I watched. It was actually silver, like hairspray. She was trying to do it blonde, but it came out like more of like a silverish. So I'm in love with everyone I've ever met in one way or another. I'm just crazy, unhinged disaster of a human being. All of her quotes are like something that I would say. So as you can see, I found some color images of her. She was very beautiful. And that's what I meant by Twiggy. We have the same earrings if you can't tell. So that makes me really excited. So she ended up being in some of Andy Warhol's films. They were silent films. He did very unconventional kind of stuff. Like he had a film called Sleep, where I have an interview where they talk about it, where they filmed somebody sleeping for 8 hours. He's the one that did the soup can pictures and the Brillo boxes. So they really were magnetized towards each other. Somebody that didn't get to have this experiences that she had because Edie had all this money. Her grandmother set up a trust of thousands, like I think $80,000+ for her, and she went to New York to live with her grandmother first, and then ended up getting her own apartment. And she went through that trust the entire time she was in New York. Went through the trust, but I don't think Andy Warhol. I think he might have used her a little bit for money because his stuff wasn't. I mean, they were selling, but she really got him into the movie scene. He thought she was going to take them to Hollywood. But eventually the drug use kind of took a hamper on them. And she was just gorgeous. This is Edie Sedgwick with Andy Warhol, and I believe this is the Velvet Underground and Lou Reed. This is Gerald Malanga. That's one of the photographers, and he's also in a lot of the other pictures. This one, somebody told me that I changed so much each time they saw me that they didn't even recognize me. I don't believe that. Do you think that's true? That's a line from one of the Andy Warhol films. And her eyes were super, I think were like you can really see into her soul. So I thought the pictures of her eyes are very, very breathtaking. So I have a lot of pictures. So I'm going to try to go through them really quick. And then here's a picture of Edie and Andy at a party down there. She was also the It Girl of the year. She got pictures of Vogue. The one in the left-hand corner, she was the new It Girl. Everybody wanted to dress like her. Everybody wanted to be her. Her parents really didn't like all the attention she was getting because the crowd that she was running with, their reputation was well known, and that was really digging into their image that they set up as this high, perfect socialite family. So they started giving her a lot of hell, like, we're going to take away your money. We're going to cut off your trust. You need to come back. You need to stop hanging out with these people. And she's like, no, these people are nice to me. They are my family. They're doing stuff that are explosive that is going to flip the art world on its side. So, and she was starting to get a lot of good attention in the beginning. She was having a lot of fun and she wasn't doing drugs. And eventually she got pulled into using amphetamines. IV amphetamines and heroin IV, which is really sad to me because I've been there and I've done that. And I know how far when you have no family, when you have no support system, when you've lived such a closed life, but you have such a big personality, you just cling like a magnet to the first thing that shows you any love and attention. And sometimes that's a drug. And it's very sad to watch her and look into her eyes and see the down spiral of a woman that could have done so much amazing things. Because if you can't see from the picture before, she was extremely talented. And when you hear her speak and her words, you can hear that vulnerability and that power and that love that comes out of her voice. Oh, last picture, that's her and Gerald Malanga at the factory. So, yeah, she is beautiful. So the next, and this is an interview from the Merv Griffith Show, 1965. We're just going to watch the beginning because I love watching the old videos of Edie. And it's kind of funny how like Andy really relies on Edie, but then Edie kind of relies on Andy. Because I think she would have been famous without Andy, but he really shot her to right where she wished that she could have always been. So we're going to watch a little bit of that. So hold on. Let me know if you can. So you wouldn't even think that this girl Edie would have been such an explosive personality. She's super soft spoken. You can feel innocence coming from her voice, but she just doesn't seem like she wants to be the center of attention, but she's craving it at the same time. Good morning, Blinky, or good afternoon, good morning from Australia. That is true. So I thought she was super like a fashion icon for her time. As you can see, this is during the 60s. She came out in like a leotard with just tights on, just coming out of the 50s. She was kind of like a shock value fashion icon. So, but I like can relate to her because a lot of people are like, Aiko, you're so sweet, you're so nice. And I'm like, well, I mean, my family growing up that wasn't my family life wasn't perfect. I mean, I was ignored a lot growing up, but I think it's just because I had a really intense personality like she did. But it's like I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I went to a 2-room schoolhouse, 400 people in my town. And then when I got out, I just wanted all this attention, all this love that I wasn't feeling for like the most critical parts of early socialization. And I just exploded and went to the nearest thing. People are like, I don't even think you've ever done a drug. Every drug she did, the drugs that she did that killed her, I've done them. So it's just like, it can happen to anybody. People, it's not something you wake up one day and decide what you want to do with your life. I want to be a drug addict and die from an overdose. It's not something people dream of. So here we see pictures of Edie during her drug years. She was hooked on amphetamines. The image here with her wrapped hand. She lived in the Chelsea Hotel. I think it was the Chelsea Hotel she set on fire. She was smoking a cigarette and nodded out. She ended up setting her hotel room on fire. So she ended up getting out. They ended up pulling her out, but she really went downhill. A lot of people, especially Andy Warhol, when he saw her going down this path, really pulled away from her. And that abandonment, that really affected her. Like she didn't notice it at first, but when she really started to spiral, like when she went through her trust fund, she needed the money. And he didn't pay her at first, but she went through her entire trust fund the entire time she was in New York, which wasn't long. I can't tell you the exact number. Probably something I should have looked up exactly. But she went through her entire trust fund when she was there. And her parents said, you know what, we told you that we weren't going to give you any more money. You're hanging around the wrong crowd. So she went to begging on the streets for money and stuff. Somebody that was so beautiful was just on the streets. And person by person from the factory kept distancing themselves away from her. I got a scene here. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Factory Girl that came out in the early 2000s. Sienna Miller played an amazing Edie Sedgwick. I have a scene here of they're at a famous restaurant, Andy Warhol, and all the people that she used to be friends with. After she started doing the drugs, they abandoned her, and she goes in there to ask Andy for money. And you can really see this broken woman that used to be so beautiful. She just goes downhill. So this is how fast it happened. So I'm just going to show this little bit of the scene. It's super intense. Again, this is from the Andy. This is not like a real life scene. It's from the movie Factory Girl. Off um, Edie Sedgwick's role as a socialite because she was known for that. She was hanging out with the biggest and the brightest. Another cool fact I forgot to mention is that the little article they said about her having a boyfriend, she actually dated Bob Dylan. And when she met Bob Dylan, she said that she fell in love for like the first time in a long time. And they were going to be together, but he didn't like Edie Sedgwick. I mean, he didn't like Andy Warhol. And he didn't like the crowd that Edie Sedgwick was hanging out with. And he said, "You need to leave Andy. You need to leave that scene. Come with me." And she didn't. And that she wanted to stay there with her friends. And she went too far into the drugs and it got the best of her. And after Andy got the kind of like attention that he wanted and she kind of catapulted him a little up, he completely abandoned her. And I think that's something that Edie Sedgwick was used to at this point, but I think she kind of saw a father figure in Warhol because he was there and he thought she was so interesting and they had this relationship that was quite dynamic and it was so dimensional and he just abandoned her. And I think there was even, I think somebody even said that when Andy Warhol found out that Edie Sedgwick died, that he didn't shed a tear. He pretended like he didn't even know her. That kind of hurt me because I like his work, but I just can't. I think maybe he was doing it because he saw what she was doing with the drugs and he didn't want to be about it, be a part of it, and he just completely shut himself off because he didn't want to be hurt. But Sienna Miller plays an amazing Edie Sedgwick. Amazing. So eventually, Edie Sedgwick goes downhill. Like she met some unsavory people that said there were new famous filmmakers. She was being used sexually for her name. She did a few movies, I think like Chow or Kale Manhattan was one, but nothing really big. Eventually, she ended up moving back to California and she went to rehab and got sober. So that she looks completely different. She ended up getting married to somebody named Michael in 1971. Um, and unfortunately, in November of 1971, not too long after she got married, she ended up relapsing and dying at the age of 28 from a drug overdose on barbiturates, which was quite a shame because she looked like she was really getting her life together and she kind of got that sparkle back in her eyes. And she was really happy. I have a little interview clip that I'm going to show from her brother. Yeah, like I feel like he sucked the life and the creativity and just out of people and just kind of like took it and went with it. So this is the wedding photos of her and Michael. I found a little video clip that I'm going to show. Might have to stop it because it has a little bit of music in it. I'm not so faithful that has her speaking some words about her drug use, and you can see like the wedding photos and everything. It's quite amazing. So let me see. I know there's a lot of video clips in here, but I apologize. I want you guys to get the facts. I know narcissists do that.
Then I must say I liked the introduction to drugs I received. I was a good target for the scene. I blossomed into a healthy young drug addict. Then I moved out to Santa Barbara to straighten out, supposedly, and I started using drugs, which I found were plentiful in Isla Vista, around the college campus, UCSB. Then I started rollicking around with all kinds of kids a lot younger than me. I had fun, but I really didn't have anyone I particularly loved. And I still don't, except for loving friends. But I mean, I haven't been in love with anyone in years and years. But I have a certain amount of faith that it'll come.
I was in Arizona.
Yeah, so literally 2 weeks after she got married, she died from an overdose. So sad. Not gonna cry. It took me too long to do this makeup this morning. Leanne knows I tried so hard on this makeup. She watched the entire thing. I know I have another. Oh, that was on the slide. So yes, she's buried somewhere out in California, and I don't think she realized how much of a big impact she had on the world. I mean, it seems small because she didn't do anything like, yeah, she was so young. She was part of that little club, not quite the Lucky 27s club, they dub it, but 28 is still young. And a lot of people that live lives that are full of drug use and start that young, especially when they're not fully mature and know about life, because they say that when the age you start using is the age that you stop maturing. So if you already have problems on top of problems, you're not going to have that much of a chance of getting better. Like, I am one of the few people that have gotten better. Many of the people that I've known that started drugs at a young age, like I do, are all dead. My biological son, his father died at 30, and he always used to joke, "I'm so glad I didn't get it." He's like, "I made it past the Lucky 27 Club. I'm going to be just fine." And then literally, he turned 30 in October, and he was dead before Christmas that same year. Thank you, Jerry. So it really hits you hard, and it's really sad because she's had such an impact on artists around the world. She's been used for music, for future fashion icons, and you can see a lot of her, a lot of things that have her inspiration in it. So I like these earrings that I got. These are, I think, yeah, these are like the replicas of the earrings. They're gorgeous. I have another pair as well. Let me turn off the cam real quick. Let me go look at the other pair of earrings. This is the other pair of earrings I have by her. These are gorgeous as well. So she's inspired many people to do things. So I think it's just really sad how people that are so innocent and, have a chance at life like everyone else, like live such tragic beginnings and try to fight and make it. And I think that she was so used to people coming in to save her. And I think when she realizes that people didn't have belief in her at a certain time, or that people might have not come to save her at that time, that, like her brother said, it just kind of broke her. So that's my little version story of Edie Sedgwick. Hi, Angela. So I don't know if you guys thought that was interesting. I think that she was pretty interesting because she had such a big impact on the world. Maybe not as big as she does now, but not a lot of people know about her because a lot of people think of like this fashion and they think of Twiggy. But these earrings, I'm always so afraid. I lost these once when I was working and I cried running around Burlington Coat Factory for 45 minutes, and then I found it in my bra. Now, any questions or anything? Questions, comments? I touched my hair too much. Yeah, she's so, oh my gosh. Actually, I just said that we should go watch the movie in my Discord afterwards. I don't know if you have time, Leanne. Oh, I'm that annoying person that drinks too loud. Sorry. You're welcome. Another one that I'm going to talk about next time is Anna Nicole Smith. And people are like, why are you doing a porn star? Just because I was reading up on her and watching a documentary. She was molested and abused as a young child so much that she had to live with another family member. And she got married very young, had a baby very young, and needed to take care of her son because she was a good mom. And she applied at a strip club, not even knowing what they did there. That's how naive she was. And she found out she could make money and she wanted to support herself on her own because she was so young. And that took off her whole life. Oh, it is, Linky. So, like, yeah, I was so sad. I was like, these are $16. I got my, and I was like, I gotta find out. My boss is like, why are you wearing $60 earrings to Burlington Coat Factory? So yeah, Anna Nicole Smith is another one. So who got into drugs and died. I think she died not too long after her son died from a drug overdose. Elliott Smith. I don't have my phone to yell into things. I gotta get my paper. Elliott Smith. Elliott. Alcohol's just as bad as drugs. Just as bad. Oh, and Stony, I've almost finished your artwork. I started painting that because almost done, but I'm glad that everybody like. Oh yeah, Edie Sedgwick is married to Kevin Bacon. I forgot all about that. She has family that's so rich and like so iconic. She's so yeah. She was Andy Warhol's muse, so well towards that period I think, but I think he really did use. I think he was like kind of narcissistic and used all these unconventional people for their connections and what they kind of brought. So thank you. Yep, I'm painted that for Stony because she's been so kind. Everyone's been so kind. Everyone that's donated, that's got me something, I really appreciate it. So your kindness and generosity has blown me away because I just wasn't expecting it because I don't have like half the time I'm not that professional at doing videos, but you guys seem to enjoy the company. So it makes me happy because now I have a lot of time to do nothing. I am going to do the cannibalism series. I need to binge read because I'm not going to have a lot of pictures. My goal is to use like the PowerPoint as something to guide me and then eventually not need anything except maybe some pop-up images. No, I didn't. Gene Sebring. Oh, I threw away my piece of paper. Gene Sebring. I'm trying to cover up the fact that my bathroom door is open. Somebody pointed that out the other day, and then I went to shut it, and it locked from the inside, and I had to go to the bathroom. I'm trying to. I wanted to be a professor when I got older, and yeah, I need to learn to clean my room too. So this is a new setup. But thank you, Dorothy Stratton. There's so many. Dorothy Stratton, Gene Seberg. Already forgot the first one I wrote. Elliott Smith. So many. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming here. Does anybody want to watch a movie in the Discord afterwards? If you go to justico.com, as a Discord link, we can watch the movie. We watched a really good one on Saturday. Every weekend, except this time, I'm not going to do it when my kids are there. We watched Reincarnation by Takahashi Shimizu, and then we watched Suspiria. Thank you, Talana. You're welcome. Leanne, are you going to be able to watch the movie? Because I'll get it all going up. Because I don't want to be watching a movie by myself. I know all the lines in that movie. Because one summer, when in my early 20s, when I was using, after I saw her, this movie, I'm not proud to admit this. I was like 20. I was really high at the time. I saw this movie, and I actually went to rehab because of her. One of the reasons. And I went into the bathroom, and my hair was longer than it is now. It was probably down to my chest. I literally cut my hair off to right here. Factory Girl about Edie Sedgwick, cut my hair off to my ears, styled it, and went around smoking cigarettes out of an Audrey Hepburn cigarette holder, telling people my name was Edie Sedgwick. It was a very strange time in my 20s. I had a girl crush, yeah. But yeah, it was a really weird time. There's people in Michigan that don't even know any of my names except Edie. They're like, oh my God, have you seen Edie lately? No, she's gone. Yeah, so my daughter's name is Edie, and I'm hoping that she embodies all the good qualities and the innocence and the creativity. I have pictures of her somewhere where I tried to take. Let me show. I buy her any little dresses that look like something that Edie Sedgwick might have worn. Let me see. Let me get a picture of her. She was so cute, but she hated this dress that I got her. Let me show. I hope it's not too far down. Sorry, I can't see the chat right now if you're saying anything to me. Oh, here we go. So, I'll show you my Instagram where I post a lot of stuff. So my little daughter, Edie, I was like, look at this is something Edie Sedgwick totally would have worn. She was not having it. She was like, I don't want to wear this dress. Look how cute that is. She's like, I don't want to wear it. She was so unhappy. Even Edie Sedgwick Superfans one, and this one actually has a lot of pictures of Edie that you would not normally seen. So I got some of the pictures from here. So a lot of pictures on there. There's like huge super fan groups to her, and we all post stuff. That's what we do. No, I'm 34. I just turned 34. No, it's okay. Yeah. This was like, I got into drugs at the end of 18, 19, 20, and I went from 0 to 100. I went from in college to straight out of drugs, homeless, bloody in a bush within less than 2 years. So, yeah, that's how that can happen. You just got to watch your surroundings and who you're hanging out with. But now I went to college. I actually got a car. I have my own apartment. Like, I have my driver's license. I travel the world. So, you just got to kind of pick yourself up. I am just a bit, madcap. Life happens fast. And I'm telling you, I went to a 2-room schoolhouse, like 2 rooms, and there was like 2 boys in the whole school. Like, it was pretty small. I can't. So, but thank you everyone that's donated, that's gone to justpsycho.com and donated. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you everyone that comes and watch these and messages me. And I know there's so many people I haven't gotten back to, and I'm in the process of reading emails that people have sent me. But you guys have a good night. We'll head over to Discord and watch a movie, and we'll start that in about 30 minutes. So Discord, donation links, all there. And I love you guys, and have a good night.